here. For those of you who don't know, I guess on May 4th, Andrew and his team at Tribute One Loudon hosted a live May the 4th Be With You event. And Andrew and his colleagues at Tribute One Loudon were all dressed up in Star Wars costumes. And it was so much fun for the providers, the staff, and the residents. And for all of you, this was my first ever attempt at doing a hybrid event. So we had some people attending the event digitally as well as live, and it's something that we're going to keep on trying to do here, because I think that it's what's going to need to happen in the future is these live and virtual events. But in any event, thanks for including me in that event, Andrew. But today, tell us a little bit about your role there at Tribute One Loudon, and tell us about Tribute One Loudon. And it looks like you're in an art room there, huh?
So this is one of my favorite rooms, actually. And here, I'll move out of the way just a little bit so you can see some of the artwork that our residents do. I've got a couple of favorite spots within our community. So essentially, we're an independent assisted living and memory care community, and we're located right in Loudoun County, really a stone's throw away from One Loudoun, the One Loudoun Town Center. So what you were alluding to, yes, we're in our arts and crafts room, and this artwork was actually done by one of our residents. So, one of the things that we really try to promote here is resident engagement. That's really kind of what we're all about here. Essentially, we are a cadence community. So their motto is life in the key of beautiful. So we really want to try to bring everybody, out of their apartments, out of their living quarters, and kind of into the community. We have a ton of space here, including outdoor space. That's another place where I thought, well, maybe I'll go live feed from our outdoor patio, because that is my favorite spot. But I also wanted to kind of come in here. It's nice, it's bright, and that's kind of what we try to promote through this community, just a bright and lively setting for all of our residents and our team members as well. Something that I find to be really one of the most important parts of this community is the actual team members. We have just a wonderful, wonderful staff. They're hugely helpful. I'm fairly new to the community, and they really welcomed me with open arms. They welcome everybody here with open arms. We just had one of our residents come in and come down the red carpet, which is, they were a new resident to come here, and that was a lot of fun. So we really try to have a lot of fun with our residents. We do, like Steve said, we just had our May the 4th Be With You event. I kind of toyed with the idea of coming on here in costume, but then I thought, no, it's too much. It's too much. Yeah. The time has passed. So we're on to the next event that we want to plan. So we we're celebrating our mothers as well. So you could see me out there dancing with some of our residents. Some of us danced better than others. I was not one of those people. But we do have a wonderful community here, led by our wonderful nursing staff of Melissa Dasig and our executive director, that is Zoe Barkas. Something that I did want to kind of promote as well, something that our Cadence puts forth and all of our tributes are putting forth, is our Cadence Connections program, which is probably my favorite program here. And it's been something that's been absolutely incredible to watch. It's very new. It's essentially a holistic early intervention program that promotes assisted living residencies, create opportunities for a rich and meaningful connection. Basically what that means is you have some of our residents living in the assisted living that do have some mild cognitive impairment. And so they're kind of toying with, do we stay in assisted living? Do we go to memory care? They want to kind of stay in assisted living. They want to stay with their group of friends. So what we do, it's a one-on-one program that we have our connections director come in, and he does exercises physically and mentally with our residents. And they really respond to him. He's this kind of big, dry, sarcastic kind of guy, a little bit authoritative, but very, very warm, really wonderful. And the residents just absolutely love him, and the people in his program absolutely love him. And we've seen a lot of, we've seen our residents kind of they've kind of pulled back a little bit because they're embarrassed of the cognitive disadvantages they're experiencing. But he brings them out, and he brings them into a group setting, and he really just gets the residents excited and always has a plan of attack for them each day. So it's really wonderful to see these residents have come back out. They're more confident, they're more joyful, and they're just all around happier. So
I love
really,
it.
what we do, and I think what our executive director says, we work hard and we play hard, and that's really the best way to promote this community. We're
I love it.
right, across the street from One Loudon, so our
Yep.
residents have access to all the restaurants and shops and the movie theater there, in addition to walking trails that
Yeah.
are right across from our community as well,
Yeah.
which I've seen many of our residents while I'm actually walking my dog out here. We're a pet friendly,
Yeah.
um, community, and just really try to keep everybody engaged. So
Cool.
thank you, Steve, for having us. We're really a pleasure to work with you
Yeah.
as we
No,
did
this is
back in May.
great. It's great. And if you haven't had a chance to get out there, definitely, it's a unique community in a unique neighborhood, and wonderful. And I'm really thrilled to have you and your whole tribute team a part of this month. And Andrew, when you duck behind the curtain there, if you drop your contact info into chat, I know there's going to be folks that want to get in touch with you. And this is great. And thanks again. I'm going to throw you behind the curtain here, and we're going to keep on going here. But thanks,
Thank you,
Andrew.
Steve.
You bet. Okay. And then let me just share my screen real quick. I got one more housekeeping thing that I want to remind everybody of, and then we're going to bring on Dan Michel. And that is to go to proaging.com. That's where you can find recordings of all of these sessions that we do. So this afternoon, this discussion will be up there online for you. We've got a career center with a bunch of new jobs on it. And you've got our provider search. And then if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you can see all the updated editions of Positive Aging Sourcebook. You can view them digitally, or you can order them in print for you, your loved ones, your clients. And here's what we got going the rest of the month. Some really good programs. We're going to be next week. We're going to be talking to Second Wind Dreams. That's the nonprofit that runs the virtual dementia tour. And they are just dedicated to changing the perception of aging. We got a discussion on home sharing with Silvernest. We're going to do the Meet the Elder Law Attorneys. Got a great program on assisted technology showcase. And we're going to learn about the Stronger Memory program at Goodwin House. So make sure that you tune in. But today, we are going to jump into the discussion and learn a little bit more about Dakim. And I'm pretty confident if you've been in this field of aging for more than a couple of years, you've probably heard Dakim, because they are one of the pioneers in brain training that's out there. And I am absolutely honored and blown away that we got the founder of Dakim, Dan Michel, here. And Dan, I'm not sure you realize how we got connected, but it was through Joan Green.
Sure.
And I did see her type in that she was in the audience. So Joan, big shout out to Joan. You can see her there in chat. But I'm thrilled to have you and learn more about Dakim, introduce it to our audience. Before we dive in to the demo and you talking about that, let's get to know you first. And I have to say, like, I'm blown away at what you've done with Dakim and in founding that. But when I read your bio, I'm also really intrigued at the life that you've lived before founding Dakim. So maybe if you can give us a little bit of a brief overview of what you've done and what led up to
Sure.
founding this important organization.
Sure. I appreciate the opportunity, Steve, and good morning or good afternoon to all of you in the audience today. It's exciting for me to be able to share Dakim with everybody. And the reason that it's exciting for me is that I didn't start this business as a business venture. I really started in response to a personal experience with my dad, who suffered first from cognitive decline, which became full-blown Alzheimer's disease. And I was very close to my dad, and watching him go through that, I said, there must be something that we can all do to try to fight the dreadful symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. And that's really what led me to start Daken. But earlier on in my life, I spent a long time in the advertising business and then in the movie business. I was the president of marketing for Columbia Pictures, and then had my own advertising agency creating movie trailers, movie posters, and television commercials for the movies. And it was then that I had to start to deal with my dad's Alzheimer's disease, and I gave up that background. But as I was telling Steve earlier, it turns out you wouldn't think that would be a very good background, but as I'll explain later in my presentation, that part of what makes a brain training program effective in helping people keep their brains active and fighting off the symptoms of dementia is that you have to do it long-term and you have to do it consistently. And the key to that, of course, is engagement and feeling that it's entertaining. And so all my background in the entertainment industry and in advertising, being able to create ideas and create content that was compelling to people really is one of the main elements of the secret sauce of Dakem that makes it work. The other important thing about my background is I grew up in Chicago, and I am a lifelong Cubs fan.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's great. Now, Michael, let's see. I'm getting a few, I hear you fine, but I'm getting a few comments that it's kind of difficult to
Can you hear me better now?
Ooh, yeah, I think that's better.
Okay.
Oh, there, you've got a mic. Okay,
yes.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, so I hope that helps everybody there.
Yeah, is this better?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I think so.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks for that adjustment. I heard you fine. Okay. Well, this is great. Now, do you want me to throw that poll up before you begin?
Sure. That would really be great.
So guys, what we'd love to know is if you have used or you're familiar with Dakem prior to this discussion. Complete this poll. I'll let it get up to about 50%. Okay. And all right. Well, okay. It looks like we've got a few people in the audience that are familiar with Dakem. And so we would love it if you before this program is over, if you can, we'd love to bring you on to share some of your experiences in using Dakem. How does that sound, Michael? But the majority, 97% of our audience doesn't know about Dakem, which is great.
Perfect.
Because that's the whole point. You know, we want to, but we love the fact if there's somebody in the audience who can authentically share their story, that would be great.
Well, should I get started with my presentation so we can get to the discussion?
Absolutely. And okay. Bernie says it's much better, the sound. Amy, you're saying that the sound is still bad because I'm hearing Michael loud and clear. Yeah, no, I think it's about as good as we can get it. Make sure everybody just check the volume on your computer. But let's jump in. So if you want to share your screen.
Okay.
All right. And there we go. That's good. I'm going to duck behind the curtain. And I just want to remind everybody when I do this is that at any point in time, if you've got questions, type them in to Q&A and we will make sure to get them.
Great. Well, again, I'm glad to be here today because this is a passion for me. And we're really here to talk about something that is really important, and that is maintaining brain health as we age. And in terms of how important it is, I'm going to borrow a phrase from someone talking about a different endeavor, but I think the analogy holds true. Legendary Green Bay Packers coach Vince Lombardi famously said, "Winning isn't everything, it's the only thing." And I think when it comes to brain health and aging, the same is true, because we really don't have much quality of life if we've lost our cognitive ability and if our short-term memory is gone. And and as I say, I know this from being with my dad. How bad is this problem and how big a problem it is? Well, Time magazine referred to Alzheimer's as the scourge of the new century. And the last time I heard something referred to as a scourge, it was the plague, in the Middle Ages. But Alzheimer's really is a scourge. And if you're interested, the scourge of the 20th century, according to Time, was heart disease. But to put in perspective, today, 6 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's disease. But by 2050, just 30 years from now, less than 30 years from now, that number will almost triple to 16 million. Today, a new patient is diagnosed just over every minute. By 2050, it's going to be every 30 seconds or so. The annual care costs in the U.S. are at least $230 billion, and it'll be over $1 trillion by 2050. And it is, as I'm sure many of you know, it is the most feared disease among adults 55 plus. When we're younger, cancer, far and away, is the disease we fear the most. And you can see Alzheimer's over on the left side there is kind of bunched among heart disease, diabetes, and stroke. But by the time we get to be 55 years old, it is Alzheimer's that we fear the most. Now, the idea from Dakim grew, as I mentioned, from over 6 years of firsthand experience caring for my dad. And that's my wife and me with my dad. And he first started with cognitive impairment, and it just escalated over time to Alzheimer's disease. He was living in a senior living community, and I had just sold my advertising agency, and he was in the Chicago area. I would go back and spend a week a month with him, and I would wake him up in the morning, spend the entire day with him, and put him to bed at night, and then I'd go home. And I do that for a week a month. And it was there that I started to try to find ways to keep his mind stimulated. And what I found was that if I did stimulating things, he was better. He was more engaged. He seemed to be more with it. And I found that the more often I did it and the more consistently I did it, the greater the effects were. The other important lesson that I learned is my dad, if I tried to do an activity with him that I thought would be stimulating, but he didn't enjoy it, he would just say to me, "Honey, I'm not going to do that." And that really taught me the lesson, is that if I wanted to create something that would be beneficial to people, it had to be something that they really enjoyed. So that experience led to 5 years of product development, testing, and equity fundraising. And finally, in 2006, we launched Daken Brain Fitness. Now, if you wonder what the origin of the name Dakim is, well, I'm Dan, and my wife is Kim, and so, of course, Dakim. There are 3 important concepts that I'm going to touch on today, and that all relate to how and why brain training works, and particularly Daken Brain Fitness. So let's go over them kind of quickly. Neuroplasticity is the first one, and that is the brain's ability to rewire itself. It's really the most amazing organ on the on the planet. The evidence for neuroplasticity can be found very simply in when someone suffers a traumatic brain injury and part of the brain is destroyed, and say that part of the brain is responsible for speech. With a lot of therapy and clearly some luck and a lot of hard work, the brain can rewire itself, and a portion of the brain never intended to be responsible for speech takes over the function, and the individual can regain their ability to speak. So neuroplasticity is really important in terms of the ability of the brain to rewire itself to take on different functions. The second concept that's important is neurogenesis. Until the last few decades, scientists thought that humans were born with a finite number of brain cells, and over time, naturally, as we aged, some would die and we would lose those, and that was the cause of what used to be called senility. But now we know that the brain is able to create new neurons and synapses throughout our lives. Obviously, a neurodegenerative disease like Alzheimer's interferes with that process, but we can create new brain cells throughout our life. Now, the evidence is that two things have been found to make that possible and to accelerate that. And they both are exercise. First is cardiovascular exercise, and the second is rigorous cognitive exercise. Third concept is a cognitive reserve, and that is a surplus of brain cells that help us keep our minds sharp in the face of normal brain aging, or in the worst case, neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. This illustration kind of pictures what a normal brain full of healthy brain cells looks like. And as we age, you can see there's been, in those dark spots, loss of brain cells. But by building a cognitive reserve, we can build new brain cells. So all this is the background for understanding how brain training works, and Daken Brain Fitness in particular. At Dakim, our core product is Dakem Brain Fitness. And what is it? Well, it's serious brain training. It's the product of more than 20 years of R&D and refinement. We train with a proprietary brain training protocol, and we do a cross-training protocol. That means that exercises jump from one cognitive domain to another. We train 6 cognitive domains: short-term memory, long-term memory, language, computation, visuospatial orientation, and executive function. And we train at 5 levels of challenge, each appropriate for a particular range of abilities. And that this spans from the people with the highest functioning, well-educated, highest functioning individuals to those with mild and moderate dementia. And we also train people in the process of doing this in the areas of attention, focus, and concentration skills, because without those, it is very difficult to participate in a meaningful way in life. If you're not having good attention and focus, the ability to have meaningful conversations and social interactions really are limited. Also, we employ something we have 2 patents on, which we call Neurologic Technology. And what it does is it's a very sophisticated algorithm that optimizes the therapeutic effectiveness for individual users at all levels of cognitive function. And I will get into that in a minute and show you how it works, because it's very important. And then we also teach memory techniques in addition to our core brain training protocol. And what it does is it teaches our users really effective and incredibly easy to learn memory boosting techniques that help them in their everyday life. And it also has a secondary benefit, which I'll talk about in just a sec. And as I mentioned earlier, we feel that our unique approach to content and the user experience really maximizes the user appeal. And there's no really good way for me to explain that other than to offer you the opportunity to try Dakim for free, to experience it for yourself. I will try to tell you about it, but it won't. I'm going to fall short in telling that story. And finally, Dakim is clinically proven, and it's proven in a peer-reviewed clinical trial to significantly improve cognitive function. And it's the only brain training product that trains in language abilities, which is really an important area of cognitive performance and of great concern to the senior community. It's second only to memory. I mean, obviously, we all fear losing our short-term memory, but behind that is when seniors start to experience aphasia, the inability to find the right words that they want to communicate their ideas. It's incredibly frustrating and demoralizing for them. We significantly improve language abilities. So the clinical trial was conducted by UCLA School of Medicine. It was published in 2013 in the American Journal of Geriatric Psychiatry. And as I said, the results show that we significantly, and that's important, significantly improve memory, immediate and delayed, and language abilities as users are strengthening their attention, focus, and concentration. A copy of that clinical trial report is available on our website. So let's take a look under the hood of Dakim to kind of look closer at three important features. Neurologic technology, our approach to creating cognitive exercises that are effective but users really want to do, and then those memory training techniques. Our secret sauce, I mentioned earlier, really is founded in neurologic technology. And what it does is it works like a personal trainer for the brain. It absolutely is in charge of every session. It cross-trains the brain in every session in those 6 cognitive domains. Every session is 20 minutes long. The user does not control what exercises they do because we know that users would tend to want to do the things that they're good at. Guess what? The things you need to work on are the things you're not so good at. And so what we do is like a trainer at the gym takes you through all the exercises you need to get a comprehensive good workout. Neurologic technology is continuously, in every session, in real time, it's assessing the user performance, and it's dynamically and precisely self-adjusting the sequence, the level of challenge, and the content of the exercises so that each user gets the most benefit from every session every time. Why is it so important? Well, every individual's cognitive abilities are different. There is no one-size-fits-all that would be an effective brain training program. To be effective, you must match the abilities. They can neither be too hard nor too easy. If they're too hard, people will get frustrated and quit. If they're too easy, they'll quit because they'll say, what good can this be doing to me? So let's look at 2 people, Jim, age 85, and his wife, Jane, age 83. And we look at their cognitive profiles. And if we look at them, look at the short-term memory, we see that Jane's short-term memory is a little better than Jim's. They both have good long-term memory. In language, they're both in good places. Jim's calculation abilities have slipped below where Jane is. But if we look at visuospatial, we see a big difference. And so you can see as we look at these profiles that the exercises, if they're tailored to each individual, they will be more effective. Now, this animation is going to show you how neurologic technology works. And essentially, the first thing it does is it analyzes the individual. And it looks at the cognitive domain that we're going to be training in, what we call event subtypes, which are the exercises themselves within that cognitive domain, the challenge level that this person has been performing at. Has there been change? In what direction is that change going in? Are they getting better at these exercises, or are they losing some of their ability? And it also looks at the response time in milliseconds to how quickly people answer, which also informs it as to how confident they are and how able they are to answer the questions. So the first thing we look at is those what we're going to prescribe as the next exercise you're going to see if you're a user. And all this is happening in the background while you're doing one exercise. Neurologic Technology is planning the next thing you should see. In this case, it says you need to see a short-term exercise, short-term memory exercise. And the challenge level that you're going to be working at because of your performance historically is level 1, our highest level. Now, within short-term memory, we have 6 different types of exercises in what we call neuropsych categories: pairs, visual memory, stories, delayed recall, lists, and spatial relationships. This time it's going to train in visual memory. And in visual memory, we have what you could call different games or different exercises: famous people, little known facts, broken news, make a story, picture pairs, or checkpoint challenge. In this case, it says broken news. Within broken news, we have dozens of different exercises. This time, it's going to show you how now, brown cow. And so just to put it in perspective, in real time, this is what Neurologic Technology does in the background. But to really be effective, as I mentioned, you have to be able to do these exercises consistently and over the long term. And no one is going to do them if they don't enjoy them, period. So to provide the most compelling brain experience, we went beyond the limitations of what is commonly used in other brain training programs, things that look like flash technology, simple animations, repetitive exercises. So we went to the point of creating a wholly different approach to brain training. This is where my background in the movie business and in advertising paid off. What I wanted to do is to create an experience for people as if they were playing a game show, that they were a participant in a really good television game show. And my belief was that the 2 places that most seniors get their daily dose of brain exercise is really from Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. And what I wanted to make something that was as much fun as that, because I still enjoy watching those shows every day. So we've created more than 100 different exercise types. There's more than 300 hours of unique content, of highly differentiated and clinically tested proprietary exercises. There are actual thousands of individual exercises. And our exercises are sophisticated concepts, and they're really enhanced by high production value. Again, something I learned about in the movie business and the advertising business that really creates a highly entertaining and highly engaging user experience. There are users in senior living communities who've been using Dakim for 5 or more years. There's a few people who do several sessions every day for these multiple years. You don't do that if you don't really enjoy it. And our exercises don't repurpose children's software and that whole idea and that aesthetic. Ours are created with an adult aesthetic and sensibility. We even have a sense of humor in our exercises. We make extensive use of rich media, videos, music, stunning graphics, and as I mentioned, even a sense of humor. These are the title cards for some of the exercises. And as you can see, whether it's, if you look in the lower left-hand corner, it's a game called the 60s. And it's like a concentration memory game, but it's all based on, figures and events of the 60s. Memory Mambo, Keep Your Eyes Open, This End Up, with 2 you get egg roll. they're fun. They really are fun. And so people enjoy doing them. Now, I also mentioned that we provide memory boosting techniques. Our memory boosting protocol employs a two-step process. First, we teach people the basic techniques, and then we give them the opportunity to increase their proficiency in our exercises, our games. The first step is an animated tutorial that gives instruction in the techniques, and second, then they practice, refine doing the exercises just as a regular part of the brain training, of the Daken brain training program. So there's two benefits to this. One, these techniques, which I mentioned, are easy to learn and really powerful. They make real-world memory-dependent tasks, shopping lists, to-do lists, whatever, really easier to do. But the second really important thing is that because users notice that their memory has improved almost immediately, they're motivated to keep using the program. And again, long-term consistent use is key to effectiveness. So let's look at the two training programs, the two memory boosting techniques. The first is an idea called visual links. And visual links is the words, the title really describe it pretty well. You create visual links to enhance your memory. The second is called story connections, and it too, the word story connections probably gives you a sense of what it's all about. Let's look at them though a little more closely. Visual links. If I show you this list really quickly here of unrelated pairs of words, it's not easy to remember them. But let me show you another one now. And if I take that off the screen a week from now, you won't remember it. But if you create a visual image of those two words and you link them, a visual link like this, banana telephone, I could probably speak to any of you a year from now and I said, what was that visual link that we created? You would remember banana telephone. And the more outrageous you create these images in your mind, the more indelible they are. But you can see that's something, a very simple idea. Second technique is story connections. If we look at this list of items, and here it's book, eagle, hat, rain, trolley, it could be a shopping list, not easy to remember. But if in your mind you create a visual story, so we have that book being read by that eagle, he's wearing a hat, it's in the rain, and he's riding on a trolley. That image is there in your mind, and when you go to the store, if it was 5 different items or whatever it was, you can remember that. It's easy to learn. With practice, it becomes really powerful. And you gain proficiency by playing our exercises, and which do use those techniques, and so you can get very good at it very easily. Now, Daken Brain Fitness comes in 2 flavors, essentially. One is for senior living and for older folks. That's called Daken Brain Fitness Professional. You can see it on the left side. And on the right side is Daken Brain Fitness Active, which is really for boomers, people 50 plus living at home. And this is the home page of our website. And if we look at the Daken Brain Fitness Professional, it's characterized by some things. Again, this was created specifically for senior living. So we created it, and originally was launched using our proprietary Dakim touchscreen appliance. So it has an easy touch login. Everything is touchscreen. There's no passwords to remember. You simply you put in your first and last initials, and it identifies who you are. You confirm that it's you, and then you're off and running. Again, touchscreen interface. It's a senior-centric graphic interface. Everything is big, bold, bright. The type is easy to read. There's audio reinforcement, audio instructions for everything. It trains in the 6 cognitive domains at the 5 levels of challenge. The self-adjustment is done by the system. The management of the session, when it starts, stops, the sequence of the exercises is all done by the system. It requires no caregiver involvement once the user is set up on the system, and that's done on a separate website. But once someone comes and sits down in front of the system, they don't need any help. In fact, they shouldn't have any help. And as I said, I didn't say, I'm going to say, you can access Dakim's on our proprietary touchscreen appliance or on PCs, Macs, and iPads in the community or owned by the residents themselves in their rooms. And of course, during this whole COVID event, having the ability to do it on their own iPads, PCs, and Macs in their room, in the privacy of their room, was really important. When the pandemic first began back in February, we alerted all of our customers to shut down their public Dakim units and make sure that they had they were signed up for using it on the PCs, Macs, and iPads of the residents. Now, for the younger boomer, it's only on the web. There's 5, it's actually all on iPads as well, but 5 cognitive domains. We only train the top 3 levels of challenge. It's faster pace. There is no positive feedback, audio feedback, which we provide plenty of for the senior program. For the boomers, don't want that. The same self-adjustment of the challenge via Neurologic Technology. Again, the management of the session is all done by the system itself. There is no feedback, but you can access this on the website and on iPads via the App Store. Now, to show you the difference between the core training protocol is the same, whether it's for seniors or boomers, but the look, taste, and feel of the exercises is very different for the 2 groups. You can see, keep your eyes open. For the seniors, it shows an old movie theater, and keep your eyes open for boomers shows a high-tech iPad kind of image. And the same is true for Minute Math. So the bottom line is Dakim is clinically proven. It produces significant improvements in cognitive function. It can be used by the broadest spectrum of users, from those with the highest level of cognitive function to those with mild to moderate dementia, and importantly, they do it on their own. It provides a structured, comprehensive brain training workout that cross-trains the brain in 6 cognitive domains at 5 levels of challenge. I should just mention, the other reason cross-training is so important is it keeps the mind off balance, that it makes the mind work harder. And of course, what you want to do is you want to make the brain work as hard as it can in the period of time that we're training it, but still making it enjoyable. And the next point here, of course, is it is highly engaging and people really enjoy it. And I hope some of you in the audience who have experience with Dakim will share that with the rest of the audience. And it works on most platforms. We still sell our Dakim touchscreen appliance, but it works on PCs, Macs, and iPads. If you'd like to try Dakim Brain Fitness for free, you can. For use on desktops and laptops, you would go to Dakim, Dakim.com, and you push the try for free button, and it'll give you a tour and allow you to then have a couple days or 3 days of free trial before you would be charged. On the App Store, we have our product, Dakim Brain Fitness Active is in the App Store, and Dakim Brain Fitness Professional is also there. And for those of you who are senior living providers or healthcare professionals who are interested, and we do sell to healthcare professionals, neurologists, speech language pathologists, in reusable licenses, please just contact me, Dan Michel, at dan@dakim.com. And that's my telephone number, 310-926-9850. And I'd love to talk with you about Dakim, give you more information. And for senior living communities, we provide a 30-day free trial in the community. We also provide lots of ready-to-go, ready-to-use marketing materials to help you launch the program. And it costs, a dime a day per resident. So really, it's helping your residents improve their memory and keep their minds sharp is what we're all about. So again, for more information, contact me via email or phone. And as I mentioned to Steve, for anyone who is interested in acquiring Daken Brain Fitness and bringing it to their community, we will offer those who attended this seminar a 20% discount on our yearly fee. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, Steve.
I love it. Well, this is great, Dan, and I put all your contact in chat there. The previous times that I cut and pasted your contact info, I left out your phone number. I was like, oh, I'm not sure he wants anybody calling him, but now you threw it out. That's fantastic. Let's see, we've got some questions, but before we dive into the questions, I know Joan has some experience with your product. She's let's see, Joan King is raising her hand, so let me allow Joan King to talk. Hey, hi, but I was going to bring Joan Green on, or any of the people in the audience that may have had some experience. But Joan King, you've raised your hand.
My question, my question was, what is your yearly fee?
Oh, okay. For senior living communities, it's based on the number of beds that you're licensed for. And the average number of senior living beds in a senior living community is about 120, 130. So if you have 100 beds, it's $3,500 a year.
What about individual people?
Individual people can go on our website and subscribe. It's $15, $14.99 a month, or $79 a year.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, great. No, definitely a reasonable fee there. And Joan Green, I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, but you're the one who introduced us to Dan, so I'm going to allow you to unmute if you're willing to sort of share any experience that you've had with this.
Sure. Product. No, I'm so happy to see you here, Dan. I've been really pleased. I remember many years ago, I used your software with the CDs, I think it was.
Right.
A lot of my residents or a lot of my clients as a speech pathologist, and they just found it entertaining and fun when I couldn't engage them in a lot of the other products to stimulate their brain because it wasn't quite as frustrating. And I know my dad is on now, I believe, watching this live. I just left him and set him up with it. He's really enjoying the iPad. He's using it on the iPad. We just found it really confusing to get started. And you were kind enough to, after the trial, to just set us up. But I think that's the only, it's a fantastic program, and I love how it does everything automatically. But it's a little bit confusing for elders aging in place to know how to access the individual program and get started and pay after the trial. That's the only part I find a little bit confusing.
Well, we have customer support, and he's a guy named Tommy Engdahl, who is just one of the nicest, most helpful people. He's always there to help if someone has a stumble in getting set up. But by the way, the iPad is, because it's touchscreen, is really an ideal platform for Daken Brain Fitness. And we are native to touchscreens. And so being able to use a touchscreen really for seniors, especially those who are beginning to suffer some kind of cognitive decline, it takes out the whole mess of mouse and keyboard out of the equation.
Great. Thanks, Joan.
Sure.
All right. So we got a ton of questions that just popped in here. So I am going to get to those. Let's see. Susan Rannick says, question, are you suggesting this in lieu of therapeutic intervention or on its own? If so, who is qualified to determine the area of deficit. It sounds so. It sounds like this can be part of a therapeutic treatment.
Correct.
Providers
correct. And it doesn't require any kind of diagnosis because the system itself diagnoses the ability in each one of these cognitive domains, and it does it in real time in every session. So it's constantly adjusting the challenge level of the exercises to the individual. So you don't need to make a specific diagnosis for somebody. Ideally, people will start to use this before they suffer any cognitive decline. And the hope is that the more you do this kind of thing and the longer you do it, you can stave off or minimize the onset of any adverse symptoms.
Great. And then to that point, Bess says, I see that you start training at 50 plus. Any plans to start earlier, 40 plus, since research has determined cognitive decline begins around 40? She may have asked that earlier on in the presentation.
No, that's fine. The answer is you can use actually children love using Dakim too. You can use it at any age. What we found is, and sadly, and hopefully over time, as the statistics that I showed earlier, which paint a very bleak picture, is the numbers of people with Alzheimer's increases, that people will become more serious about doing something to help their brains younger. But we found that below age 50 or so, people really are not interested. Unless they have a family member who's been suffering, then they're kind of terrified and they might get interested. But in terms of running a business, it doesn't make sense for us to create content for people younger than 50.
Yeah, no, I agree. And quite honestly, as we know, a lot of the people in this audience knows that for a lot of these products and services, even though they can benefit us at a younger age, it's hard enough getting our 60 and 70-year-olds to utilize
and you know, I hate to say it about us in our culture, but we're lazy. That's why I think that people are selling supplements in drugstores claiming that it's going to improve your memory.
Yeah, a pill is easy.
It's because a pill is easier than actually spending 20 minutes a day, even if you're having fun for 20 minutes a day.
Yep.
For most people.
Let's see, this is a question back right from the beginning. Such an inspiration. Are you willing to share what your father's age when you and your family started noticing signs and symptoms?
He was, well, we started noticing, I would say, in the probably about 82, 83 years old. He lived until he was 94, but it was severe for over 10 years. And it changed my life. I mean, I had, to be quite honest with all of you, I was a pretty selfish, self-centered SOB most of my life. And then when I started to care for my dad and watched him suffer with this horrible, horrible disease, it really gave me a wake-up call. But it was horrible for 10 years.
A couple of questions about phone apps. Is there a way for people to utilize this on their phone, or do you have plans for that?
No, the phone is too small for the kind of interface that we want. The iPad is ideal, and if you try Dakim, you can just go to our website and try it there. If you're interested in just kind of taking a quick taste of it. But I can arrange for anybody who would like to personally, if they're a senior living provider or a healthcare professional, I'll get you set up as we did with Joan, where you can try it on your own computer or your own iPad and get a sense of it before you try to think about it for either your community or for your clients or patients. But you'll see that the interface is designed in a way that it just wouldn't work on the phone. It's too small.
And Cedar says, you mentioned the touch screen, but this can be used on a regular PC or Mac with a mouse, correct?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, great. And then Susan asks, how does this compare to luminosity? And then also there was, we featured another platform a few months ago that does some brain training. Again, I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, I'm happy to. What I invite people to do, and we, when we are selling to people, we want them to try the other guys. Because, and I don't want to be the one to tell you why Dakim is better. One, and by the way, the platform that you've talked before, they are also clinically proven, but I don't think that they're much fun to use. And so the ability and the willingness to use it consistently and long term is limited. Talking about Lumosity, it's really aimed at a much younger audience. It's aimed at the casual gamer who's on playing video games on the computer, but thinks to themselves, well, gee, if it might be good for my brain, I think I'll try this. It's not like Daken, which is a serious brain training protocol. We are not created to be a game. While we are highly engaging, we're not intended to just be something you do for fun. We're doing it. We want people to be able to benefit from this rigorous training that will have a real effect on their cognitive abilities. And we have clinical proof that we do that.
Great. Let's see. Okay. We talked about a 20% discount. Somebody had a question. Would that 20% discount apply to the individual Boomer package, or is that just for
healthcare providers and senior living providers?
Okay. The individual package seemed pretty affordable.
Oh, very. Yeah, $79 a year is cheap.
You can do the free trial. Bernie Cohen asks, how much is the appliance? You referenced an appliance in a senior living.
Yes, it's $1,500. It's based on an HP touchscreen. We originally had proprietary appliances, but we found that the HP allowed us to reduce the cost. It does not run on Windows. Windows is just not reliable enough for us. We know that in senior living, the last thing we want is to provide an appliance that's going to need caregivers or somebody, their IT department, trying to figure out why it's got a blue screen and crashed. So what we do is we take this standard HP touchscreen device and we install a different operating system. It's Linux that we use, which is a very stable operating system. So it looks like an HP, but it's not.
Okay, great. And then let's see. Okay, Elizabeth says, I work for a continuing care at home program. So we have members who live in different locations. Can this be used by various users at one time in a virtual group?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Okay. And would like a program like continuing care at home or a home care provider, could they be viewed as similar to a senior living community?
They are. That's exactly what they would be.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
They would have the same, and depending on the number of clients they have, we'll, adjust the pricing appropriately for them.
Okay. And Pamela Mills, congrats, Pamela Mills, on your new job with the Option Group, or new partnership with the Option Group, says, have there been any research with people diagnosed with MCI to compare if there is an effect on lessening rate of decline towards early dementia? MCI.
Mild cognitive impairment.
Okay, got it.
No. Our sample in the clinical trial that we did were all residents of senior living communities who had normal brain function.
Okay.
They may have had some slight mild cognitive impairment, but you wouldn't have categorized them as MCI patients.
Okay, great. And then let's see here. I'm trying to wrap up these, but they keep on coming in, which is great. Rhonda Weinstein says, if used in a community, will staff be able to get a report or view on how the individual resident is doing?
Yes and no. You will get a report of their usage patterns. The data on their performance is their data. It belongs to the resident, not to the community. Some communities have asked their residents to give them permission, and in that case, it can be done. We don't recommend on making that information public.
Okay. And then Susan Rannick says, brain training is great, but how do you address skill transfer and pragmatic appropriateness, which is a major issue with the dementias?
Well, the answer to that is, again, our exercises are not abstract. They are concrete. And so they use skills and develop skills in real world environments, not in kind of abstract, repetitive, task-oriented exercises. And so, again, the only way for me to make this clear to you is to try one of our programs, and whether you go on the web or have me set up a trial for you, where you actually use it and you'll see how it relates to that. Again, we're really, from the very beginning, we were focused on this, making it real. Again, because I was doing this for my dad.
Yeah, no, this is great. And I'm going to make these the last two questions here, because we have gone over an hour, which is great. But they were asking, have you worked with any senior centers or area agencies on aging, government agencies, nonprofits, what have you?
Of course, yes. Yep. And it works in those, it's great for those places as well. And one of the nice things about it is that we recommend, our clinical trial evidence is based on using the program 3 to 5 times a week. In fact, in the trial, they were using it 5 times. We recommend 3 to 5 times, because that's the number of times I think that people who have active lives can easily do it. But it brings people back to the senior centers where they can use it. And I suppose, although we haven't done this, a senior center could be set up with a virtual community, as well as that their residents could be, or their clients could be using it in their own homes as well. So
great. Well, this has been a great, you did an amazing demo, and you covered all the bases, and the audience really filled in all the gaps with some great questions. Dan, this was amazing. I appreciate you getting up early and jumping on with us.
Wait a minute. I get up early every day.
Oh, good. Okay.
Hey, but Steve, I really do invite people. Give me a call on my, there's my grandson on my cell phone. Give me a call or shoot me an email, and we can start a dialogue, and I'll be happy to, get you set up with a trial, or, answer any questions you have.
I love it. We're going to share the recording, all your contact info, the links, and really stay in touch. Let us know how it goes. And those of you in the audience, let us know if you give this a shot and give us some feedback. I love hearing follow-up after our discussions. So thanks a lot, Dan. And we will be talking to you soon, I hope.
And thank you to Joan for introducing me to you.
Oh, yeah, she's great. Joan Green. Thank you.